Check me out now. Return of the smooth operator. Shotty on repeat. I say sleep later. This another favor. Consider me your neighbor. Lost a lot of fam in pursuit of the paper. She gon' catch the vapors when we slide by. The way I speak my mind, it's like I peak my prime, but I ain't close. I cruise through the night air. Fantasy a dream. Real world is a nightmare. Like Claire battling the brainless. Learn to live shameless. Talk about me alive, but claim that I'm nameless. You aimless. So I'ma style on them. They washed up. It's a rap. Throw the towel on them. Gaining miles on them. Otakus for the win. Tacos, it depend on the mood that I'm in. Like Finn when it's time for adventure. This some new blue. Get ready to enter my mind for a few. Come and take a ride with the crew. I'ma show you how to recoup days lost when you vibe with the blue. Come vibe with the blue. Yeah. About time to regroup. Fly, got my eyes on the view. Never hear lies, only truth. Realize why they vibe with the blue. 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 Vibe with the vibe with the sky. Wait, you know the rest. I'm blessed. I see you frontin' like you ain't impressed, but I still get requests. I'm playing Zelda on the GameCube. I quit spamming my music. Don't ever try forcing the links. That's a high rule. The wind waker, Mother Nature on my side too, controlling the elements. Go and check my avatar. I'm arrows ahead. Get the point. Moving forward. The battle scars accumulated over time are reminders of what I went through as a miner. But made me a grinder. The trees broke down for this loose leaf. If life's a game of death, I'm Bruce Lee. Ooh wee. Lose sleep on the regular, trying to get this word out. Then I crash Nebula. Wish I had a very odd parent, maybe two, but it's cool. Everybody pays dues. Now it's time to make moves. Granny didn't raise me to lose. Think I'm in the mood for a cruise. Wanna ride? Come and vibe with the blue. Come 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 vibe with the. Check this out, y'all. I'm back spazzing like the elderly worth of my cousin Beverly. Never swear away from the truth. Just ask Heather, be weather, be tripping, starting to control like our destiny. Always give you the best of me until the death of me. My weaponry is a paintbrush. Hush, don't tell my secret. They get a hold of it. If you leak it, get it. As usual. It's cool. Got you covered though, look. But let me get back to that cool-ish, loose-ish. Why they still lying? They don't do this bad at board games. Whole world clueless, selling they soul for Roof Chris. Who's this honored fella? Need a slice, extra mozzarella. Crew fly, let God prepare. Humanity born like they don't trust fun. Why you dodge to tell her? You don't know, but my odds are better. Life's a gamble, depending on who holding the cards. You can start living at large or it's bon voyage. Charge it to the game. Me and you ain't the same. I'm thinking bigger pictures. Why you still shrinking the frame? Ever blink in the rain? It helps when your eyes dry. Mob with the bright minds. Think you funny, wise guy? Midnight marauder with a new tribe. Tired of the fake. Come and vibe with the blue sky. Come vibe with the blue sky. Why do you try? We get them high. Take them high. What I do? Come vibe with the blue. Yeah. Come vibe with the blue. Pass what up? Vibe with the.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
I have seen everything that has ever happened, ever will happen, ever could happen, and yet, what the hell is this?
Are you ready?
Working wise, grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple eyes. You can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy. Dream on, yeah. Dream on, dream weaver. Dream weaver.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It is your boy Ernie the Blerd Without Fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, so today we're back. I know it feels weird, right? We're back again. I know it's crazy. I don't make the rules here. I don't make the rules. What's up, Screwface? How you doing? I don't make the rules. I just abide by them. We're back again. Y'all saw yesterday we were live with Joe Casey talking about the upcoming Space Quest. Today we're gonna be talking about something a little different. You know, same energy though. Same energy. We're gonna be talking about another crossover, and I mean just crossover in the sense of two completely different already existing IPs merging together like peanut butter and chocolate, and that is going to be the upcoming Red Sonja Attacks Mars. It sounds crazy. I know. It sounds crazy. I'm not making it up. This isn't something that I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, Blerd, seriously, you're not serious. You're not a serious person. What do you mean? What do you mean? How dare you? But no, I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass here. That is a thing. As a matter of fact, it was kind of already a thing. I'm not making this up. It was kind of slick. Already a thing. Matter of fact, for those who do not know, they did. I forget exactly how long ago this was. I think it was in the last. Oh man, I think it was in the last like couple of years. Is what I want to say. But we actually had a Mars Attacks Red Sonja. Is what we had beforehand. We technically had that one already. So now this is the run back. That we're gonna be looking at here. This is gonna be the run back, and just to kind of give you guys an idea of what the previous one was. This was the one that came before. This was Mars Attacks Red Sonja. This is the one where, like, quite literally, as the name would imply, the Martians show up, shenanigans happen, they end up attacking Red Sonja. And it looks like this time around, instead of the Martians, at least this is my guess, instead of the Martians coming to look for her, it sounds like old Sonja is going to be looking for them. That's my guess, at least. But we're going to be having the writer, Jay Stevens, on here in just a moment. And yeah, that's all I got. That's all I really got. I don't think I have anything else to my knowledge. Let's see here. Oh, yep, there you go. Okay, cool. Bet. Let's see where. How are my people in the chat doing right now? Everybody in the chat good? I hope everybody's good. I hope. Let's see. It's been a little weird. Today's been a weird day because. Well, if you've been keeping up, what's been happening in the, what's been happening out there in the social media space. Apparently, I caught a flag for sharing a clip of Creature Commandos. Well, I think it's wild. We literally had Elon Musk doing the Sig Heil on one of the largest stages ever, and Instagram took down my post because I put that little clip up that said, "Oh boy, Nazis." It's wild. Like I said, you can't make it up. It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not even messed up about it. Yeah, chat's gonna be a little, like, honestly, I'm kind of not surprised. Chat feels a little empty today. It hurts my feelings a little bit. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I like it. What I am gonna do here, let's do this. Maybe this will help out. Let's see if this helps out a little bit. I might be shadow banned on Threads right now, but we're gonna post this around, see what happens. We're gonna hope for the best on this one. Where's my? There it is. We're gonna hope for the best. We're gonna hope for the best here. Let's see. Where's my thumbnail at? There it is. Bam! Look at that. Look at God. Look at God. All right, there we go. Un momento, por favor. Actually, I don't know. What is his? Okay, that's why it didn't come up right away. That's why. Yep. All right. All right, let's do this. Copy that. Post it. Count it. There we go. We're going to see what happens. I don't know. Should I put this on Blue Sky? I feel like, man, Blue Sky is such a ghost town. I swear to God. Such a ghost town. Let's see here. Let's see what happens. Let's say I'm gonna try the thing. I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. Yeah, let's just do it like this. And yeah, let's do this. There. We'll do that. Oh, I should probably start the meeting. Let's start the meeting. Let's see what happens there. Let's see. You know, when you put it like that, DSB, I have to laugh because, yeah, it was a Roman salute. Damn it, it was a Roman salute. It was totally a Roman salute. It was totally. That's what I should have put. I wish that they actually let me like write something down when I appealed it. I love how you could choose, like in one of the automatic answers you could choose is, it was a joke. It was not a joke. I was dead ass. There was no joke. No joke. But hey, you know, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, right? Yeah, what are you going to do? At this point, I'm not going to lie. If I, for whatever reason, get booted off of Threads, I'm just giving up the social media game. I will just strictly be a person who posts shit on YouTube, and that's it. Because social media is hoed anyway, so that's just where that is where I'm at in life right now. In case anyone's wondering, that's where I'm at right now. Oh, wait a minute! I think we have liftoff here. We have the liftoff. I think we got Jay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's see. Hey, hello. Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Doing all right. How's your day?
Oh man, I cannot complain. I would not complain. Here, let me switch the cam up and I'll get you in here. Let's see here. And my man, there we go. There we go. I'm gonna let's do this, and yeah, because I want to get all the goodies in there. All right, there we go. All right, bam, we are in here. Ladies, gentlemen, and MBs, we got a special guest in the building. We got Jay Stevens in here. And I didn't know this, and this I'm going to show a little ignorance here. When Amy set us up to talk, I kept thinking to myself, why does that name sound familiar?
Yeah, where have I heard that before? Yeah.
Like
all over the place. Yeah.
Well, because initially my first thought was, because I don't know, you think about boxes where where you're used to like recognizing people's presence, and I was like, that sounds oddly enough like that guy that did what was it? Was it Tudenstein?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not.
No.
I was like, oh.
And Secret Saturdays for Cartoon Network. Yeah. I took a side journey in animation for a while there.
Well, yeah, I look at it. I look at it as though you were multi-classing. You were just multi-classing. That's all. You get a few levels in animation, and then you come back, get some more levels in comics, and I want to say, was Jetcat yours?
Yeah, that's
as well.
Me too.
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah, I was gonna if you've ever anyone in the audience, if you have ever had any experience with any of those aforementioned properties, whether it's Secret Saturdays, Tudenstein, Jetcat, you also I want to say. I say recent, but time is relative to me. You also had another comic that I actually have linked in the description below called Dwellings.
Yeah.
And
above me over here. Yeah.
Yep, there it is. Bam. That's the one. And which, by the way, y'all should go check it out. I totally recommend it. And yeah, you've quite literally been all over the place. So when I found out you were doing what we're going to talk about today, Red Sonja Attacks Mars, I was very intrigued. So
thank you. Yeah. No, I've been all over the place. I've done a daily newspaper strip with Bob Weber Jr. called Oh Brother. So like kids stuff. I've done how to draw kids books all the way to like recently writing disgusting horror comics for EC. So whatever they give me,
I mean, I'm not hating because I look at it this way. I mean, if people are offering you these opportunities, that's a good thing. That is always a good thing, and I think it's well worth the time. So,
and clearly I bore easily. So throw your weird ideas at me. I'm ready.
Well, I definitely will say, like, I had very little. I don't want to use the word nostalgia because it makes it sound like people like to use nostalgia as a dirty word, but like I don't have as much experience with the Mars Attacks franchise past the movie. Like I knew there was I knew it was like originally trading cards, but like when the movie came out, I was like, I don't know why everybody's losing their mind over this. I have never heard of this before. But it's one of those things that has kind of become a thing I've enjoyed. So like how did you end up falling into this? Like what was the setup there to get you in on Red Sonja Attacks Mars?
Well, I'll start at the beginning, but yeah, it was actually the Mars Attacks that grabbed me, but I'll get back to that. Basically, the editor for the series, Matt Idelson, I've known as an acquaintance professionally for years. Back in the early 2000s, he was at DC, and he was in the Bat editor group. Okay. And at that time, like my old friend, my dear friend and sometimes collaborator Paul Pope was working on some Batman stuff. And so Matt and I were talking about a project that almost happened. Believe it or not, there was almost a Batman Chupacabra project. I'm weird like that. So
I respect
obviously that doesn't exist. That didn't happen. But he and I have stayed in touch over the years. And when this came up, he's like, okay, this takes a certain kind of weird. So I'm going to call Jay, see if he wants to do this. So that's kind of how that started. And for me, like, yeah, Mars Attacks is an interesting IP in the sense that I think its attraction, at least to me anyway, I'll speak for myself, but is that it's kind of like the purified 50s, 60s alien invasion. It's just like boiled down to its disgusting essence. It's Red Scare, Us versus Them, skull-headed, green, bug-eyed creatures from Mars that are just vaporizing your puppy. And there's something very pure about that. And like you, I haven't really followed much of the Mars Attacks narrative since the film as well. I'm obviously, I think if anyone's familiar with any of my work, I'm obviously like a huge Tim Burton fan. So, the movie definitely impressed me.
Mhm.
But when I was younger in the 80s, I think that was the first time they did a reissue of the original Mars Attacks trading cards,
Mhm.
84, I think. And I had them all. Like I loved how um, brutal they were. Just delightful. For any weird kid, the first time you've seen any Mars Attack stuff, that's going to burn into your skull like a ray gun. And so so that was kind of my entry point into the
Mhm.
project, is that I just wanted to play around with the Martians a bit, but um, also in that same era in the 80s. So like I'm old. I was born in 71. So when Richard Fleischer's Conan the Destroyer film came out, I was like 11 years old, like target audience. Probably, actually, I don't even remember what the rating was, but just like the Mars Attacks cards, it was probably a little too intense for me at 11.
Yeah.
Um, but loved it. And then the Red Sonja film came out in 85. So those three things to me are like indelibly 80s and a big part of my childhood nightmares and inspirations. Um, and so, yeah, for me, this project immediately struck me as a way to sort of honor um, the weirdness of 80s entertainment.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's man. You just kind of hit me with some flashbacks there. Like that's like Red Sonja, Conan the Destroyer. Those, like, for the longest time, I was that kid that didn't even know there was a Conan the Barbarian before it. I just knew Conan the Destroyer for the longest time.
Yeah.
Uh but what I absolutely always thought was pretty cool is that, some of those older franchises, when they come back, and whenever you get people that have either whether they grew up with them or came to them later in life, you always end up getting some really interesting like reimaginings and adaptations.
Mhm.
And especially considering where Red Sonja is now as a character versus back then, and how much that character has grown over the decades. The thing that kind of blew my mind is that and I was actually telling the chat this before you jumped in. I actually did not know up until recently there was already uh, a crossover beforehand, the Mars Attacks Red Sonja. So
Yeah,
when
that
I
was
knew,
news to me too. Yeah.
well, when I found out I was talking to you, I was like, oh, let me go check this out. Just, I don't know. Get some frame of reference. And I guess that's kind of where I wanted to ask is like, because obviously this one's kind of flipped. The other one was Mars Attacks Red Sonja. This was Red Sonja Attacks Mars.
Mhm.
How do we get these two properties that look like they shouldn't even be in the same room with each other and get them in the same room with each other?
Right, right. I mean, that was my immediate question too. And after reading the first project, I was like, pardon me, it's not what at first seems like uncomfortable clash of ideas.
Mhm.
On second thought, when I was thinking back on all the pulp paperbacks that I was reading back in the day too, right? Like Lancer Books, I think was the first Robert E. Howard short story collection I read.
Mhm.
Um, and there was a story in there called Shadows in the Moonlight that really got to me about an island, kind of a haunted island. I don't want to get into it too much because I reference it directly. I'm
Yeah.
inspired by it and reference it in issue 3.
Mhm.
But and then the Ace paperbacks, like the Edgar Rice Burroughs stuff, sci-fi and fantasy. I think my first J.R.R. Tolkien were the Ace paperbacks. So a lot of my early fantasy and sci-fi was coming from the same source. And so that feels like two sides of a coin, let's say.
Mhm.
And certainly when you go back to the pulp magazines where these were first published, you get like the stories of Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft, who were associates in Weird Tales back in the day. And the Eldritch gods are crossing over. They're using the same. It's not too unusual to think of skull-faced things from space coming
Right.
to Hyperborea. You know, like
Mhm.
That's not actually that far-fetched. So my entry to the project was to write it like a Weird Tales story.
Okay.
And it started to make more sense.
Well, and when you say it like that, it actually kind of like it actually kind of hits because yeah, when you think about properties that don't typically, I guess cross over for a lot of folks on a normal basis. Yeah, you go back to like the old EC comics and like a lot of those comics from yesteryear. A lot of times you'd see all kind of crazy stuff. Like probably more crazy than anything we see today as far as like crossovers go.
Yeah.
But so like yeah, when you put it like that, it's kind of like, well, yeah, it makes sense.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't make too much sense. I mean,
Right.
there's an inherent insanity
Mhm.
to Red Sonja Attacks Mars. I mean, it's
Right.
got to be crazy, and that's why I'm saying it's kind of like my '80s childhood, in that like a lot of the films back in the day. So like Time Bandits, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai, Across Eighth Dimension, Big Trouble in Little China, they are bat crap crazy. Like they are nuts. They're like there's no studio going, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. There's no editors going,
No.
why is this part in the film? It doesn't connect to anything else. You could just, I mean, when I was watching films back then, like I said, Conan the Destroyer was my first cinema Conan. I think I watched Conan the Barbarian on afterwards. But anyway, those are nuts too. They're the unexpected is constant in those. And so with that in mind too, I was like, well, then that makes sense. Red Sonja Attacks Mars could be as if it was adaptation of an '80s film where anything goes. I mean, this could just be nuts.
Well, I mean, I even think back to the Red Sonja, the '80s movie, and I remember the first time I saw it, and at the time, I will be the first one to tell anyone, I had no idea that Red Sonja was a comic when I was a kid. Like it just, for whatever reason, it never like I was reading Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I was reading, Batman, Superman, X-Men, whatever, all that stuff. But like, I just, for whatever reason, I just never knew Red Sonja was like, based on a comic book. And I remember watching the movie for the first time and seeing what is largely a high fantasy affair, swords and sorcery, warrior woman versus evil sorceress. And out of nowhere, just weird, like mechanical monster just shows up, and I was just like,
yeah. Right,
whatever. And but as a kid, you just like, whatever. so I totally get it.
Yeah. So suddenly there's a little kid practicing with a sword around the corner. She's like, oh, who are you? Okay, now you're with us.
Yeah. Yeah, Child Protective Services. Yeah, they didn't exist back then, so it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember thinking that film was all that great when I was a kid. No offense to anyone that's passionate about that film, but
no,
I still watched it probably 4 or 5 times. I was a superhero kid myself. I mean, comic book wise, when I was younger, I liked. I was a little more open-minded about my comic reading. I was a big Casper the Friendly Ghost fan, hence the Dwellings project. But by the time I was that age, in the early '80s, I was mostly a superhero guy. So my first Red Sonja was a Marvel team-up issue where she teamed up with Spider-Man and Howard the Duck, and it was John Byrne. So it was John Byrne comic. So
right.
I was like, and she was an interesting character, but I think in the first stories I read, a little one-dimensional. Which Dynamite has certainly fixed over the years. And I have hopefully not ruined in this project, because when it gets this weird, you have to take it like a little less seriously.
Well, I would say so too, because don't get me wrong. Yeah, Red Sonja has moments of levity, but like for the most part, she's like serious as a heart attack.
Yeah,
like she's like if there's a joke, it's usually not so much that she told one, or maybe she said something witty, but like a lot of the time it's usually just what she's doing, just like, oh wow, she is wild. But, so yeah, but the idea of her interacting with these characters, I was just really curious to see, like, and here actually I want to pull this up for those watching and kind of want to get a taste of maybe what to expect. I got the cover. I think this is the cover A for this one.
Yeah.
And like when I saw this, I was like, all right, I'm in. Yeah, what more do you want from me?
It's full of surprises. Let me tell you. There's some. I threw everything at it. Yeah, no. She's Red Sonja. I mean, in my opinion, I think you have to play her as the straight character in it. Like, there's dark comedy in this for sure, but I made sure to introduce some exciting new sidekicks and associates who could carry the comedy in those situations, because I didn't want to laugh at Red Sonja too much. I don't think it's appropriate. And that's, by the way, her seriousness is exactly why she can take these bug-eyed creeps. If anyone can handle this, it's her.
Well, and that's actually really refreshing here too, just because not like poking fingers, but like one of the things I've always found kind of like jarring is, when you read something, watch something, whatever, however you experience a thing, and what the character's supposed to be, what the setting's supposed to be, but like the setting's being like, it's being changed to fit something else that maybe just doesn't flow naturally to it. The idea of Red Sonja being just deadpan, like just straight, like no, I am like, this is the thing. And I would even say kind of, whether it's letting the Martians kind of carry the load on the, because I think that was kind of one of the things I don't know if anyone appreciated at the time. I thought it was funny. Is that most of the real good comedy of the Mars Attacks movie was the Martians and just how maniacal they were. Like the way that they what was it, the Martian girl sneaking into the White House, and it's all, so it was like it was something that was like it was stupid on his face, but it was funny because of how much it was leaned into.
Sure.
Yeah, like you're just like, and
I mean, just that they only say ack. Like it's ridiculous. It's delightfully ridiculous. No, the Martians. Without too many spoilers, but I mean, the opening scene is the Martians. There's two components. So, but some of the Martians provide the bulk of the comedy in this project as well. I mean, I think that makes the most sense. And again, because we are coming off of a previous encounter, which we are following in the footsteps directly of the previous Mars Attacks Red Sonja series. But the idea was to make this a standalone project as well. So basically, we take it for granted, if you haven't read the previous series, that she does recognize this threat. And that's basically it. There are neat kind of Easter eggs and references to the previous series. So people that have read that, any folks that have read that will get that, but they're not necessary for the narrative. So this one is entry level Martian sword and sorcery. So you can start fresh if you want to with this.
Well, like I said, I went back and I read it, and I mean, I'll say this, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Mars Attacks Red Sonja comic, and largely for those same reasons, like we were saying, like kind of leaning into the craziness of it. And there's a lot of wild stuff that happens in that book, so I can only imagine you're going to have equally, if not more so, insane things in yours. But I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to kind of learning the I guess kind of like the behind the scenes, the process of how stuff comes together. So you mentioned something about the Martians that, I mean, they talk, but 2 words.
Yeah. Well, that's just how humans hear them.
Right. It's like we only hear the ack and that's it. That's
right.
We don't hear the nuance of
what
they're saying.
Like a dog barking. They're probably saying a lot. We just don't,
it's just we can't understand it. I was curious, like, for you, writing that type of you have a narrative with a character that is more emotive than vocal. Like, was there any like particular challenge of that to you, or like what was your mindset there? I guess in a way, I guess you kind of slick answered it too, but just curious if you could elaborate.
Well, so Martians on Mars speaking with other Martians are translated. So and that was established in the first series, that they do talk to each other. They do have culture, and obviously they're a high-tech menace. And so the scenes on Mars are just written as dialogue. So and fairly blackly comedic, I must say. Whereas most of the Martian encounters on ancient Earth in the Hyborian Age are not. They're mostly played as straight up menaces.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the best of both worlds. I could sort of play it both ways depending on what was needed and how I could further the narrative. So it was really fun. The most fun, though, was doing a little bit of extra research into Robert E. Howard's Ancient World and the continent, and because I love that stuff. I mean, I'm an old D&D player from way back, and I really wanted to move the She-Devil with a sword around the map. So we get some really great travel stuff in the book as well.
I mean, you got my attention. That's for sure. I think that with these two things, and just really the the idea of Red Sonja just as who she is, and how take no prisoners, Red Sonja can be. Matched up with the deviousness of the Martians, it's kind of wild because, when I think back to the movie itself, a lot of it was were the Martians doing like goofy things sometimes, like things that made no sense, like sure, but they were also like. They were terrifying.
Why do they transplant heads? What's that all about?
Yeah, like what is their interest in completely dissecting a body all the way down to like its base components? Like what's what's up with that? And why do they always walk around in little red undies? I always have these questions. It's
Fashion choices are strange on Mars.
Not just undies, satin undies. They look like satin undies to me. Like, I don't know. Maybe I
do.
Yeah.
I didn't have to overly concern myself with either the cards or the film, to be honest, for Mars Attacks, because this is taking place thousands of years ago.
Right.
So it is the same advanced culture. It is the Martian culture that will eventually evolve to be the Earth invading, like the full blast Earth invasion. We're assuming this is the same continuity, let's say.
Right.
But this could have been at a time when maybe Martian politics was a little different. So I get to explore some totally new backstory.
Well, I mean, you get kind of crazy with it, I would imagine, because and I know sometimes, just because of recent developments and a lot of popular IP, where I've been kind of seeing this trend where more so in movies than anything else, where it's like, oh, well, we're gonna do Star Wars, we're gonna do it like thousands of years in the past because we're not trying to deal with these weird nerds and their being slaves to canon. But
hey, nerds are people too.
They're people too. Some of them are just really weird. As a card carrying one, I have questions a lot of the times. I usually have to. It's kind of like when you have to like look across, like you have to kind of look laterally. I don't know, man.
Look, I get it. I get it because I have my things where I'm like I can't even like I see some new take on something. I'm like I can't go there. I can't. But like I said, one of the delights, especially of Mars Attacks, is that it's pretty open to interpretation. So
yeah, because I don't think it was. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I even feel like with the trading card series, it wasn't like. I mean, it told a story. Yeah. But I never felt like it was like, oh, super duper mega ultra in depth on what any of this like actually is. I felt like it kind of played a lot of pun intended. It kept a lot of those cards kind of close to the chest. I own my puns around here
before it disintegrated.
Right. But like I don't know. I like that though. I like. The level of fun factor has to be pretty high, getting to, play in a sandbox that you're already, pretty familiar with, something that you're already, a fan of, and getting to kind of put your spin on it. And, and sometimes those things stick. Like, there's...
Yeah, maybe.
You never know. I mean, hey... Fingers crossed, I'm saying. Sometimes people, they see that, oh, that's that run. And then, sometime down the road, someone's going to come back and say, yeah, man, I'm actually homaging, this thing that Jay Stevens did. Yeah, you never know. That could totally be a thing. It could totally be a thing. Also, by the way, just in advance, for future, in advance, pay the man. Trying to help you out. But I do wonder though, with just to kind of like switch gears just a little bit. I was curious your thoughts on this because one of the things that I've kind of been praising Dynamite for lately is we got our Red Sonjas, our Vampirellas, whatnot, what have you. But also, kind of having those comics out there that are, aimed at younger readers, to try and keep younger readers into the, keep them in the game. Because you lose the younger readers, and well, y'all know how the rest goes. But but I was curious because, especially with some of the more recent announcements of things that Dynamite's been doing lately, would there be any chance that you would maybe get to tackle, some of your other IPs in a comic
I would
format?
love that. I love that you brought that up. I've just been, I love, and you've been doing great interviews with some of these creators too. Like the Hanna-Barbera stuff they're doing is terrific.
Oh yeah.
And I would love if Dynamite, that I can't say we've been talking about this, but I would love if they were able to get the sort of the Cartoon Network action universe, the Ben 10 Generator Rex, Secret Saturdays stuff, that was always intended to be a joint universe. Right. At the time it was on the air. I mean, we referenced Ben 10, I think, twice in the Secret Saturdays animated series. And then Ben 10 later did a crossover with my characters as well. So that could be really cool. I would love to be back for that. I'm sure Man of Action would love to be back for that too. But I don't really know how that process is working with Warner Brothers. And I think the Cartoon Network absorption has been fairly recent.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how ready they are to bring any of that stuff back, but I would be so into that. And I mean, also, I think all of us in that era, in the 2000s, that were doing action adventure cartoons for Cartoon Network before they went temporarily live action and jettisoned everything and then started over.
That was a weird transitional period.
Weird time. Yeah, we unless we went, we weren't getting a third season unless we were live action, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure, although I haven't had this conversation with all the creators, but I'm sure we were all sort of riffing off of the Hanna-Barbera era anyway. So I mean, I could totally see a Secret Saturdays Herculoids crossover, for example. You know, like
yeah.
That stuff makes sense too.
Well, and and the really the main reason why I was just so curious too is because I mean, like I think was it I feel like Nick Nick Barucci, for those of you may or may not know, is the head guy in charge at Dynamite, and he just seems to have a pipeline. He has a pipeline to Warner Brothers. I feel like he I don't know, like if he's got like some connections or if he has like a folder or like a file cabinet on anyone at Warner Brothers, because he just always seems to be able to get his hands on these things. And seeing all the stuff that's been coming out, the announcements, Herculoids, we've got the Space Ghost comic that's running right now, Johnny Quest stuff that's going right now, all the Disney stuff, the Captain Planet comic that has, I guess, technically been officially announced. And I was just kind of sitting there thinking, I was like, it seems like it'd be like so easy, like to just be like, hey, let's make this thing. Let's take this thing that was over here and like just bring it over here. Like I don't know. I feel like there's because I know for a fact there's an appetite for like Ben 10, Generator Rex, and that sort of stuff, and that universe. So I know Secret Saturday is like right in there with it. Yeah. And it's like it just seems like a license to print money. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, I mean, I don't know what the interest is in those out there, but I mean, I get messaged all the time, like daily. I get questions from fans about Secret Saturdays, so I know there is a fan base.
Right.
I just don't know if it's like Space Ghost level fan base.
Hey, so don't sell yourself short. Don't sell yourself short.
I honestly don't know. And so I can imagine, with a company like Dynamite, there's other decisions to be made where if you can only put out so many books a year, But having said that, officially on the record, if we're doing a Cartoon Network action universe at Dynamite, I'm in.
There you go. I know Nick likes to sit in on these sometimes, so
you heard it here first.
Yeah, Nick.
Word from the Blerd cave.
Right. Hey, look, Nick, get the phone out and or email. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Go handle that. Hit my man's Jay up and hey, look, I just want to put that out there. Just put that out there. But no, I did want to ask because you kind of talking about that stuff, like you had mentioned earlier when talking about like animation and stuff like that it was kind of like, you kind of took a detour. And what, like, I guess, obviously you have like a love for this stuff, but like, what was it that took you in that direction of animation? And what was that journey like? Because that's something I've always been curious about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No,
I'm joking.
I mean, no. Seriously though, I mean, at the time I was pursuing more animated opportunities, and that stuff just happens sometimes. Especially if you're creating your own material. Mm-hmm. And I have friends in comics from both sides of that equation, right? I have people that have spent their entire careers writing and drawing their own material or collaborating with someone on their own material, and I have other friends who have had great careers with licensed properties and have no regrets. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do, believe me. However, if you do write and draw your own material, eventually someone will come to you and say, hey, this would make a good show, or this would make a good game. That just happens. And so that happened to me. I got lucky, met the right people. And so Tuttenstein and Jetcat were comic book properties that ended up being turned into animation. I could have said no. I could have not pursued something as hugely collaborative as, you know, a 100-person animated studio team. But I've always loved animation as well. And, you know, I'm not trained as such, but can dabble, certainly as an executive producer in all areas, pissing off everybody on the crew. But, you know, it's no. And then Secret Saturdays was a project that was created for television, for Cartoon Network.
Okay.
So something because of how much changes over the development period, like because of you know, the necessary transitions between print and moving images, I wanted to try something that was designed for television as well. So that's what that led to. And it was great. I mean, during those years I had two small kids at home, you know, I was married with children. So working in animation made a little more sense, except that eventually it required so much travel to LA. I mean, I don't think it's done this way anymore, but I was in New York and Los Angeles all the time for Jetcat, then Tuttenstein, then Secret Saturdays, that it ended up ruining my marriage anyway. Yay!
Oh no!
Oh well, you know, we do our best. No, my kids and I are still great. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Still.
Yeah. But that was the idea is to dabble, and that's the thing is as a kid, I mean, I was a superhero freak. I was mostly an X-Men kid actually, but I also loved Calvin and Hobbes and Far Side, and you know, I loved my Saturday morning cartoons. They all felt like different things when I was a kid that I loved, but as I got older, I realized it's almost the exact same skill set across the board, and why can't you do all this stuff? And so I've always tried to do all this stuff. I just wish there were three of me so I could do all three things at the same time. That's
You see, no, what you do is you bump into a professor, you know, who's working on like a cloning machine, and you just go visit him a couple of times, and you know, shenanigans will happen. For anyone that has ever seen Multiplicity, it totally works out. It always works out. Nothing bad ever happens.
Yeah, there was never a Kelvin and Hobbes comic about him duplicating himself.
Yeah, right.
It certainly went fine if that happened.
Yeah. Well, it's always kind of a trip too, because I feel like that's something that, yeah, I tell people all the time, I wish there were more of me, because, you know, there's not enough hours in the day to get anything done. But yeah, like I can only imagine that, you know, having like a wide skill set and like being able to do, to be able to tell stories like what you do. And it's like, oh my God, like this is going to be like the mountain of work that lies ahead of you is like absolutely huge. So like, I would tip my hat to you if I had one.
Yeah, I wish there was a weekend.
Right.
I wish there was a clock out time, but the deadline never ends. It's just I play hooky sometimes if I want to go see friends, but yeah, it never ends. And I've come to like it that way, to be honest.
Oh, wow, okay.
I like the work. I like the creative zone.
And that is something I've always been interested in too, because you always hear like you know, everybody has like different takes on it, obviously, but like whenever I talk to artists, you know, and especially writers who are also artists, you talk about like, oh, well, how long does it take you to get this done? Like if you're working on a comic, you know, all right, well, how many like you're writing the thing, and then you're going to draw the thing, and it's like, okay, well, how many, you know, pages do you make yourself do in like a certain amount of time? Everybody always has like a different answer, but like I'm always curious to know like how do you find that balance, you know, and not keep yourself chained to the desk all day.
Yeah, I think I try personally. I try to have some kind of regular hours. And that comes and goes. It doesn't always work. I've had over the years, like that's a thing. I've been doing this for a while, variations of this. And there was a time when I had an office in downtown Guelph, Ontario, and I would get up every morning and walk to work, and work 9 to 5, and then come home and take care of the kids and stuff.
Mhm.
I did that for a while, kind of like the really blue collar version. Now,
Oh, wow.
what happens though is that some days you get to work and you got nothing. There's no juice. There's no creative energy. There's nothing happening. And so you kind of catch up on emails, you do that kind of thing. And then sometimes you're at home at 2 a.m. and you get this brilliant idea, and the studio's like, downtown.
Mhm.
So these days, and I mean, just like everyone else in the world, I started mostly working from home and just kind of finding that balance here, and then the whole world did it.
Yeah.
We all did it for a while, so we all know what that's like, and that comes with its own problems. Like,
Mhm.
do I even need to get dressed today?
Right.
So,
It's like, well, nobody else is gonna see me. I mean, yeah.
so now I do a thing. I get up in the mornings, and I go for a coffee walk. So, I walk to work, which is basically just a circle, but I go out, say hello to some people, grab a coffee, and then come home and get to work. So that usually works. Um, but it's interesting, right? Like, you have to, if the opportunities come, you need to take them, and you need to take them as seriously as possible. I've had some mild health issues recently that slowed me down, and you can't predict those. So when you can work, you should work. I mean, the great painter, one of my heroes, Norman Saunders, who was the painter of the original Mars Attacks cards,
Mhm.
really great pop artist. I mean, he was down on his luck when he came to Topps trading cards in the 60s. Like, he had been this successful pulp cover illustrator. He did a lot of really great pulp covers back in the day. And when he came to Topps in, I think it was 1960, 1961, somewhere in there, he was making $1 an hour minimum wage, like, for
Jeez.
painting those cards, man. Like, doing whatever it took to put money on the table. And I mean, I think like Wally Wood, legendary Wallace Wood, from comics, uh, whose cover for what issue was it? It's Weird Science number 15 or 16.
Mhm.
It's the famous cover of the aliens coming out of the ship, and they kind of look like Mars Attacks creatures. Um, that was the inspiration for the Martians. Is somebody there? I think Woody Gelman was the head of Topps back then, and I think he said to Wally, "We'd like to like create these Martians based on your character," but they were really intricate. And so Wally Wood kind of did sketches for those cards too. And again, he was somebody who was just taking gig work too. These are two legends
Mhm.
who were working for peanuts on
Right.
these Mars Attacks cards, but gave it everything they had and created this legend that I'm now
Mhm.
riffing on. So, you got to take this stuff seriously.
Yeah.
Take the paycheck, do the work.
Mhm. No, it's something that I think often gets lost in the sauce when people are talking about this sort of stuff, because when we go back and you talk about the legends of the industry, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about the Bill Fingers of the world, or the Jack Kirby's, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, man, when you think about it, yeah, these guys a lot of the times, yeah, they weren't like, they weren't regulars. It wasn't like it was basically kind of gig economy, type
Yeah.
of situation. And so, and to be fair, some of the greatest comics and stories of our time came out of that, for
Right.
better or worse. But yeah, I do think that is something that is pretty important. Like, and I guess, yeah, a level of just kind of being able to like I guess like discipline to
Yeah.
get a thing done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or also like what I'm saying too, jumping around a little bit instead of
Yeah.
focusing on one aspect of the industry or one thing
Mm.
well, I only want to I only want to draw comics. It's like, well, you could illustrate greeting cards too, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
You have a talent, use it.
But it's true. It's like when you think of with all these, there are some tragic stories from the past of
Mhm.
comics history, and I know things are not always great for people out there now. There are
Mhm.
people struggling in comics now, but believe me, folks, we've come a long way. We're doing a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're so yeah, but it is hard to find a way to be creative on tap. I guess is what to get back to
Yeah.
what you were asking before is
Mhm.
not every day a Thunderbolt idea day. Like some days you're just like, today is an eat cake and lie on the couch day. This is
Yeah.
not, and I'll get some ideas that way.
Well, it's funny. I always tell people inspiration strikes at the damnedest times. And, like where I'm not published by any stretch of the imagination, but like a lot of times I'm like, hey, sometimes I'll be sitting, maybe watching TV or reading a book or outside playing with my kid, and sometimes an idea will be like, oh, I should write that down, and then I'll
Yeah.
forget about it and never come back to it later. But
Yep.
that's where the discipline comes in. I don't know if I have that quite yet. I'm not quite there yet, but I definitely think that for what you've done, having kind of jumped into multiple different aspects of of the creative field. This is the thing I was actually the most curious about too, is that I know that people who tend to be both writers, and artists, I know some tend to, even if they do a story where like they're just providing, the writing aspect, maybe sometimes they'll dabble in like do like variant covers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Were you going to be doing
I'm
anything like that for this?
I haven't been asked for this, no.
Okay.
But
Nick, you should ask.
I know people think
No,
of
I'm
me.
joking.
It's thanks. No, it's right now people are thinking of me more. When I get requests for variant covers these days, they want the dwelling style, right? Because I've done this
Oh, okay. Yeah. I
horror
see.
comics. In case anyone hasn't read Dwellings, it's an adult horror, like it's horror, but it's drawn like an old Casper Harvey comics, like kids comic, mid-century kids comic, which makes it. I've heard, and was the idea, but I've heard from people that it makes it more disturbing. It's a bizarre mashup, almost like Martians and
Yeah.
Red Sonja. Yeah, I like weaponizing nostalgia, basically. But so I've done a bunch of variants, but most people are thinking of me as that kind of artist, even though I have also worked in more Secret Saturdays is one example, but I do draw in an adventure style as well.
Yeah.
I was I've had some weird gigs, man. I mean, does anyone remember the time I inked a run of The Invisibles? Yeah, I did that too.
Well,
And I mean 30, I think it's almost 30 years ago, I wrote an Alien one shot for Dark Horse. It's just
how did I miss
yeah,
that?
I've been yeah, and I just did a bunch of variant covers for the new Garfield series at Boom. Like just anything you got. Like
I mean, I like that energy though, because it's like, yeah, no, I mean, put it on my plate. Like I got this.
as long as it's cool, as long as it's interesting.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you would have done a really good variant for this. I think that's just me.
I think you're right.
Nick, you should act. I'll email Nick later. I'll email him later. But no, I think, well, regardless of, and I don't even think, well, I mean, maybe one would be better than, I don't know. I think even, regardless of whether it was in any style that you drew in, I think it would, still be something pretty interesting. I don't know. I always like stuff like that. I just think it's like, oh man, it's pretty cool. This person that wrote the book did a variant cover for the book. Hey, you never know. It's a nice thing. Variant covers.
Yeah, and actually, I'm going to plug him right now. But Fran Strucken, who's the artist for the series too, the interior artist, he was the artist on the first series as well.
Right.
So that's the kind of glue tying the two projects together. Is Fran's back on art duties, and his style, it's growing and changing too. His collective, his comics collective in Zagreb, Croatia, is called Bardo Graphics. They're a cool bunch of weirdos. I love that stuff. But his drawing style is like really crispy, sort of like mine. Like it's great because he's captured that vibe that I'm going for, where it's like, no, we're playing this straight. So this is a sword and sorcery adventure, and that's what we're going with. But it gets weird, and it gets kind of occasionally a little dark humorous. And so you need an art style that kind of bridges that. It needs to, it needs to be taken seriously, but be able to be stretched to the edge of sanity,
Well, I mean, I think, just like I said, based on the previous book, which I thought looked great. Like there's like I don't even want to say anything because there's some really cool stuff there. You kind of have to see it for yourself just to believe it. But there are definitely some shots in there in that first one. I was like, oh, that is, I that's not where I thought that was going.
No, there's at least one legendary moment where it's like, wait, they did that?
Yeah.
Did that just happen? Oh no, they're serious. That really happened. Yeah.
They not just did it. They doubled down into it. I was like, I'm here for it. I like stuff like that. So, like I said, I think that it is well worth the time. So even though I know you said you don't have to read that one to really get this one. I do highly recommend, just not for continuity's sake, but just more for the yucks. Just more for the yucks than anything else.
No, I really enjoy it too, and and it was, like you said too, it was a hard act to follow because you're like, okay, so you went there, all right.
Where do you go from there?
Okay. Yep.
But I just talking with you, I have a lot of faith in what you're going to be able to do with this, just because I mean, like you said, if it's something weird, they're going to call you, and I will definitely say too, by all means, anyone that is enjoying anything we're talking about here, there is a link. There's a link in the description. If you go click on said link, it will, it'll take you to. It'll take you to the I think it's an Amazon link where you can check out pick up a copy of Dwellings. And also there's a link for the first issue that you can pick up, which I think to my understanding, I think, is this going to be March the 19th?
That's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah. March the 19th. Yeah. So, go to your LCS. I know tomorrow is New Comic Book Day, so I know you guys will be going out there checking the stuff out. And while you're there, talk to your person behind the counter. There's usually someone back there. Talk to them and say, hey, there's this crazy book coming out. It's called Red Sonja Attacks Mars. Don't ask questions, just put it in my pull box. If you do that, there will be a instantaneous chemical reaction that only you, the person, just you at home can do. And that is, you make it a lot more likely you might get more stuff like this. So yeah, get it put in your pull box. And ask for the whole series to be put in your pull box. That will, because I know the first one ran for like, I can't remember, it was 5 or 6 issues.
I think it was 5 issues.
5 issues. Okay. So I'm going to go on a limb and I don't like to assume, but I'm going to limb and assume it's probably going to be about the same for this one.
I think we made this one a 4-issue series.
Okay.
But, I'm not the boss of these things.
Well, I will say this, whether it is, see, and this is why this part's important. Say you want the whole thing. Just say whatever's coming out. Just say you want the whole thing. Put it in your pull box. Treat yourself. You'll thank me later.
You will be surprised. You will be surprised.
And And I guess, is there anything else? Because I like to give everyone opportunity, like, because obviously, duh, Red Sonja attacks Mars. But, I always like to give people opportunities to, if they have anything they want to plug while they're here.
Thanks. Yeah. If you are interested in the more horrific aspects of Mars attacks and dwellings, I am still doing ongoing work for Oni Press's relaunch of the EC Comics brand, and write occasional stories for them, so you can seek those out. And I do variant covers for them as well. And Dwellings will be back from Oni Press later this year, so we are doing another creepy cute miniseries. So look for that.
Oh, okay. So you know what? So y'all heard it. Y'all heard what Jay just said, I hope. Okay, go do the thing. Go do the thing. And matter of fact, you know what? When you go to your LCS tomorrow, and God help you if you don't have an LCS in here. Like I said, there's a link to go to the Dynamite website to pick up Red Sonja Attacks Mars. But just the same, if you do have an LCS, go ask for those too. Just say, hey, look, just whenever that's a thing, just put it in the. Just put it in the thing. Put it in the stuff. Put the stuff in the thing. You know what to do. Yeah, like I said, it's how I got to do them, because like it's one of those things, like, it's become a bit at this point, because I feel like I'm always harping about the pull box.
Yeah,
I'm always harping about it, but like I keep telling people, and no one listens to me. I'm like, the pull box. That is your weapon. That is your sword and shield to ensure that the books you want.
And this is how you change culture, because if you make them order one for you, they might order a couple for the shelves that somebody didn't even know was going to be there. You might change their lives.
Hey, I'm just like look, I always like to use this as an example, but there's a little book over at DC Comics called Poison Ivy. It is, I think, issue 30, I think, might have just come out or is about to come out. That book was not supposed to run that long. You know why it's running that long? Because y'all were putting it in your pull box.
That's right.
The prosecution rests, Your Honor. But no, thank you so much, Jay, for sitting
Thanks
down
for having me.
and having this conversation. And of course, you're always welcome. You're always welcome on here. If you ever have anything you want to promote, please feel more than free. My door is open to you.
Thanks so much. Right on. That was painless. I like talking about stuff that I care about.
There you go. Well, I mean, as it should be. I always like these things to be painless. And and for everyone else, if you're still here and like I said, go do the things. I will see you guys not tomorrow, taking a day off. I'll see you guys like Thursday or Friday or Saturday or whenever the hell. Anyway, good night, everybody, and peace.